Rising Sea Level by Taylor, Erika, Dom, and Sierra. To start this presentation off, the topic that we'll be going over is the rising sea level in our world. And the rising sea level is one of the many results of climate change. And throughout this presentation, we will go over greenhouse gases, their impact on global temperatures, climatic trends, and possible consequences because of greenhouse gases. And also during this presentation, we go over the effects of rising sea level, areas affected by it, precautions to be taken, policies/regulations, and discussing overall what we as individuals can do to help. So greenhouse gases, what are they? Greenhouse gases trap heat in the atmosphere, and it is mostly made up of CO2. As you can see in the diagram right here, it takes about 82%. And then some other main gases are water vapor, carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, and ozone. And in the other part of the diagram, you can see methane is about 10%, nitrous oxide is 6%, and other fluorinated gases are 3%. So what does greenhouse gases impact on global temperature? So it traps heat in the atmosphere, and because it traps heat in the atmosphere, it leads to global warming. And adding heat causes global climate as a whole to change. So ocean heats up, water evaporates into clouds, causes colder areas to melt faster, and then sea levels rise. And as you can see in this picture, there's a little penguin just sitting on a little ice sheet surrounded by all sorts of water, showing how much ice is melted. So the climatic trends of result of greenhouse gases. So what are they? Change in the climate over a long period of time due to human activity. The US average temperature has increased by 1.3 degrees Fahrenheit to 1.9 degrees Fahrenheit since record began keeping in 1895. And most of this increase has occurred since about 1970. So in this diagram, you can see that in 1963 to 1972, that it was about 58% of the area covered by ice in the Great Lakes. And then it increased in 73 to 82 by probably around 10%, making it about 68% covered. And then it decreased dramatically, going down to around 52% from 83 to 92. And then it went down even further to about 45% in 93 to 2002. And then from 2003 to 2013, it decreased to around 43%. Some possible consequences because of greenhouse gases: warming oceans, melting ice sheets, sea level rise, which we'll be talking about, extreme events, dirty air, higher extinction rate, higher acidic ocean rate, water. So rising sea level. These following slides are the ones that I worked on. Since 1880, sea level has risen approximately 8 to 9 inches. If we convert that into the metric system, it would be around 21 to 24 centimeters. And the cause of the sea level rising is because of a few other events. These events are meltwater of glaciers and ice sheets, and the thermal expansion of seawater due to the warmth of the earth. And then the rate in which sea level has risen is accelerating. So it was 0.06 inches per year for a long time, and then it doubled to 0.4 inches per year. And as you can see in this diagram, it shows how much it has changed, and then it's been going up, and it still will be going up. And then the effects of rising sea level. So along the US coastline, there's more frequent high tide flooding. And then around 50 years ago, if we were to compare it, it is around 300% to more than 900% more frequent. And then the higher background levels mean more deadly storm surges. So because of how much water will be picked up during a storm, it will mean it will be more destructive as well, but a lot of lives could be lost. Like Hurricane Katrina, it could be worse than that. And then the higher sea levels cause stress on coastal ecosystems. And then some of the ecosystems that affects are ones that provide protection from storms and habitats for fish and wildlife. Then as seas rise, salt water contaminates freshwater aquifers. And in this diagram over here, it shows like in the year 2030, the sea level will be around where that post is. And then in 2050, that's where the sea level will be, just to show how fast it's moving. So the affected regions, coastal regions across the globe, And some examples are coastal Asia, such as Thailand, China, Bangladesh, India, Vietnam, and Indonesia. And then large US cities near coast like Miami, San Francisco, LA, and all those kinds of cities. And also Alaska will be affected because it's surrounded by water. And also Hawaii too, because that's just an island in the middle of the ocean. And then the top picture above shows future coastal flood threats in Dhaka and Bangladesh, both the capital and largest city. And as you can see, this one, there's a lot of red showing how much it will affect. And the bottom picture, it shows future coastal flood threats in Shanghai, China, home to 26 million people. And in that red, it will take away all that land. What are some precautions we could take? The NCAR found that it is impossible to fully stop rising sea levels. And with that being said, here are some ways that we could protect cities in the event of extreme flooding. So flood defenses, so that means like fortifying cities with seawalls and raising up the roads and slowing land seepage and constructing stormwater pumps. And we could also do climate dikes. Policies and regulations that have been done. The number one way to slow rising sea levels is severely mitigate greenhouse gas emission. For example, reducing carbon footprint and energy usage. Some other policies are preserve remaining wetlands and create better plans for the construction of infrastructures in terms of addressing severe future flooding. And as you can see in this diagram, greenhouse gas sources are agriculture at 9%, commercial and residential at 11%, industry at 22%, electricity at 28%, and then transportation is the highest at 28%. So what can we do? To combat this issue, we could plant more plants, use less paper products, and use less energy in general, or find alternatives to using energy. And some ways we could protect ourselves and our loved ones is understanding the risks of floods and ensuring against risk, and then fortifying their homes, and then also get the word out to local offices and advocate for and support proper protection plans. Though complete prevention might be impossible, there are still protection options that we can do. So in conclusion, we hope that you enjoyed this, and to recap some of the things that I've gone over, greenhouse gases and their impact on global temperatures, climatic trends, and possible consequences, as well as the effects of rising sea level areas affected by it, precautions to be taken, policies/regulations, and overall what we as individuals can do to help. And so here are our sources, and that's it. Thank you for watching.